Hello.
Hey, what's going on, man?
Good to have you on this chat, Nathan. Mr. Nathan Hoppe, the king
In the
of
flesh, well, not quite.
the king of BG.
Well, hopefully, yeah, more like the Al Pacino PG.
Okay, right.
Well, nice to meet you, even if it's not face to face.
Yep, finally, yep. I've been following you a bit on Facebook, and I've seen Mr. Top 10 that you are.
Yeah, I mean, David
Mr. Top
Letterman.
1, Mr. Top 1, not
Yeah,
Mr. Top 10.
exactly.
Yeah, so I've enjoyed those. For a while now. I haven't befriended you on Facebook till recently, but I really enjoy that. I think you're really funny.
I'm glad.
And yeah, those good stuff. And also, I like your dedication too, because it takes much more than talent and comedic sense. It takes a lot of dedication to consistently put out work, and so that's anyway. You have a drink with you or anything like that? Cheers.
Yeah, cheers. I think we all do in this trying time. After work, I'm like, yeah, I think it's time for a quarantini.
Oh yeah, okay. You got enough.
Background noise, horrible for you.
That's fine.
It
It's
was
all
fine. It's like totally calm like a second ago, and then like you go on the meeting, it's like cop cars and subway, and everything was like.
good stuff. So you've been around for quite a while now, Nathan. You've been
Yeah,
in this business for a long time.
yeah. I think it's coming up on 30 years. I started when I was, a child, so I've been in like the film and television industry off and on since I was 10 years old. So it's, I guess, showing my age right there, turning 40 this year. So
Okay.
yeah, it's been about 30 years.
A child actor, huh? At 10 years old. What was that role?
Well, my mom was like, he's annoying, he's too rambunctious, he's too excitable. We got to do something with this kid. So a friend of mine she used to work at Powerhouse Casting, actually, Kim Everett. And she was like, well, why don't you put him into acting? And started doing commercials. And yeah, that was 30 years ago. And just been doing it off and on since. I kind of like got back into it in like the last, I would say, like, seriously in the last 10 years to try and like make a career out of it. Whereas before I was like, I was a waiter, I was traveling, lived in different countries, was moving around. So, yeah, I don't know, I guess the last 10 years of just trying to like dedicate it and, kind of go more for like the writing, the comedy and, working on social media and creating a brand and, slowly but surely one foot in front of the other, just try to figure it all out, I guess, and find a way to monetize it and become successful, I guess.
Yeah, that's the big thing now. People are trying to monetize some of these platforms that they're getting onto. What sort of platforms are you on right now with some of your creation? Because I know you're doing your delivery creations now.
Yeah. I mean, social media, I just, like Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. I mean, although I don't even know why I'm on TikTok for like 20-year-olds. But it's more to just have your ear to the ground to see what's current. And I was doing like Twitter for a while and like I tried Snapchat, but it's not, again, it's for the young people. But yeah, man, I've done like a million different jobs, like bartending, cat sitting, focus groups. My most recent forays in the delivery world. So I'm doing like Instacart and Uber Eats and DoorDash just to like make some supplementary income because this kind of COVID thing really threw like a monkey wrench into everybody's plans, not just my own, but like the entire world. So yeah, watching like your industry go into like a nosedive was kind of hard, and just to like be unemployed and like have no sense of what you're going to do in the future. So after like 6 weeks I started getting bored and I'm like, I have to do something or my partner's going to kill me or vice versa. So she's working from home too, so you know what I mean. It was difficult to always be in the house at the same time. So I was like, look, why don't I just get a job driving? Because I was going to maybe do Uber and drive people around. But, I was like, this is contactless. I pick up a bag. They tell me where to go. I drop off a bag. And I'm amazing at it. So that's another thing. I just like, I took to it like a duck to water. And yeah, I don't know, it's been going very well, and just making that extra cash on the side just to have a little bit of peace of mind.
Well, that's great because a lot of people, unfortunately, don't have that. They don't feel secure enough to go out there and do this type of work that you're doing. And it's a necessary work right now for some of the people who don't want to be out there, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's not for everybody, I'll tell you that. I mean, biggest problem, where do you go to the bathroom?
Oh, okay.
Like, you got to plan your trip around, like, I'm going to have to pee in 90 minutes. Where am I going to go? Because, like, every bathroom is closed. You know, I mean, you can go to a gas station, but going to bathroom in a gas station was sketchy before. It's definitely sketchier now. So you have to really, like, I have to, like, stay in my area, and, like, I don't know, it's so bizarre. But as I go along, I've kind of learned the, like, little ins and outs and the tricks of the trade. I've only been doing it 3 weeks, or maybe 4 weeks. I think it's my 4th week now coming up. Like, today was my first day of the 4th week. So, but honestly, I don't know. If you apply yourself and you want to get out there, and you know, you can do it, and you can make money at it. I mean, it's definitely possible. And they direct deposit the money, and so I tried it for a week. I'm like, let's see if these guys pay. They paid. I'm like, well, expect the.
It's not like some of these BG agents, right? You got to
Kind of
call
like
them 2 months afterwards.
Yeah, it's like doing a tip project every day, except you don't pay commissions. Like, you don't make a lot of money, but you're doing it for the art. You know what I mean? I'm helping somebody out, right? So it's like doing tip projects, or or an indie film, or like your buddy's project. Except, you know, there is some money to be made. But you know, if I do a 12-hour day on set, SSE, as doing a background, or I do a 12-hour day in the car doing DoorDash, there's a gigantic pay difference.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You know,
a buddy of ours, what's his name? Jason Paltry is also doing food delivery too.
I know many years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, mm-hmm. He's a great guy.
Yeah, nice guy.
I've been keeping in touch with him, and yeah. So you know, the first thing that attracted me to you was those top 10 reasons, and I thought,
Sure.
yeah, this guy is funny. And what was the first time that you realized that you were funny? When was the first time that you realized that?
I don't know. My mom shot me out of the womb, and I was like, "Yeah, baby, I'm here." I don't know. I guess ever since, yeah, like since you remembered things as a kid. I don't know what, 3, 4, 5. I don't know. I didn't really necessarily think I was funny. I just liked to kind of like entertain and kind of like be an idiot. And then I realized that I was like, oh, actually, there's some jobs that pay you to be an idiot, like acting and comedy and you know, stuff like that. So being an entertainer was just kind of something I always enjoyed doing when I was at a party. You know, just like being the life of the party, or like telling jokes, or like making people laugh and stuff. So I don't know. I just like, it gives me joy. Like if I make you laugh, it makes me happy. You know what I mean? So it's like, I laugh at my own jokes too, so I'm entertaining myself. Sometimes I don't even know.
You got to do that. You got.
I'm like, what's this guy gonna say next? I don't know. It's like I'm eating popcorn, watching my own life sometimes.
No, because sometimes the jokes don't work. You know, other people don't laugh at it, so you got to laugh at it, man.
Yeah. Also, you can't please all the people all the time, and especially online, there's a lot of Karens out there. There's like people who will like respond to like an innocuous post that I'm like just trying to be funny and like bring up the morale of the troops and like, you know, give a lighthearted spin, bring some levity and like a dark time. And there's people who'd be like, oh, you shouldn't make fun of this. This is a serious job and blah, blah, blah. And I used to always respond to like each and every one and like break the person down. And then now I'm just like, there's a Karen, block. There's another Karen, block. Go talk to the manager. You know what I mean? Like, so now I just kind of ignore the haters. And also, like, the more haters you get, you're like, well, I'm doing good. If people, like if they dislike you enough that they have to post something, you're doing something right. Because, you know, if I, like, when I was doing comedy and stand-up in Second City and stuff like that, like, if I do a show and, like, everybody, like, there aren't 2 people offended in the crowd after when I'm done, like, you didn't do your job as a comedian. Because my job is to, like, you know, poke and prod where it's not necessarily meant to go. And so you have to, like, without being a complete and utter asshole and disrespectful and whatnot, but you have to test the boundaries and like push the envelope a little bit further when you're out there. And at least I do, like as a comedian, the way I see it, I'm just like, I'm always kind of testing, see how far you can go, but exactly without overstepping your boundary or being a complete dick or being, you know, insensitive. But you have to test the water every once in a while and just see, like, hey, like, I could say this and keep it vanilla, and maybe some people like it, but it may not be that funny. But sometimes you got to drop a nuke and just see if it hits. And some people might not like it, but the people that do, they like it a lot. So, you know,
yeah.
you got this.
Yeah, you gotta play to your audience, and there will always be people, like you said, you can't please everybody, you know.
No.
And there's a lot of people who are extremely sensitive, and unfortunately, we got to deal with them. And it's a good way to deal with them by doing that button thing there, you know, blocking.
But you know, it's like right now we're in an especially difficult time. There's a lot of like racial problems in the world, poverty, socioeconomic, global pandemic. So like right now is like maybe not the best time to like push those boundaries, but I still am trying to like keep people entertained and keep people happy and keep people's minds off of like the negative all the time. So if you're not going to push the boundary, then, you know, you should definitely like, I'm trying to give back to my community and make people like see the light, you know, at the end of the tunnel, or at least like a brief moment where they can be like, man, we're just hurtling through the cosmos on this burning ball of shit and everything's horrible. But then you're like, oh, top 10. Let me read this. All right, that's cool. So, you know what I mean? That's kind of my take on it. I just try and like do my little thing. I know it's not a lot and I probably could do more, but I don't have money. So what do I have? I can like use my comedy and entertain people and hopefully, you know, spread smiles around. I mean, that's just kind of like what I just, you know, I get joy from that. So
you so you've done stand up. Have you done a lot of stand up in Toronto or outside of Toronto?
Well, I mostly do sit down comedy now because I got a bad back.
Okay, understood.
Yeah, I did comedy writing and some stand up and a lot of like improv, and I did Second City, and I've done a few sets, you know, around town. But I found it exhilarating, but I prefer doing improv when you're out there or just throwing it out. So I like performing live and doing stuff on stage. But I just found the world of stand up comedy is, I don't know, I enjoy it, but it's hard to get to a Chris Rock or a Bill Burr level, or, you know, Richard Pryor's, the Carlins, like the greats, right? It's hard to get to a level like that. You have to, you know, and you're doing the same bit every year. And then, you know, there's like these little cliquey groups of comics. You know, a lot of friends of mine are comics and do the actual, you know, Just Last festivals in Montreal when we used to have festivals.
Yep.
I don't know when they're ever coming back. But yeah, I just thought like there's no money in it. Whereas like if I do a commercial on TV and I'm funny and they pick me in the audition, I'm like, you can make, you know, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 grand.
Right.
Whereas like if I'm the funniest guy at the open mic night, you get $50 and a bar tab. So, you know what I mean? I was like, I used to do film and TV for the art. Now I do it for the money, although we'll see when we can make money doing that again will be, which is
well, that's one thing that surprises me, because as an actor and as an actor, a union actor, you normally have an agent who, you know, really looks after you and, you know, tells you do this or don't do that. And a lot of agents, like my agent, would say, I don't want you doing background, you know, but I don't listen to them.
Why?
You know, and then on top of that, you become the Al Pacino of background, being a union actor. And you know, normally everybody who's an actor member, they just want to stay in the shadows. They don't want anybody to see them or know that they're there, you know. But you're doing it differently.
There are two schools of thought. One is hide in the background and just get paid and do your thing. The other one is if you put your hand up every single time and volunteer and the ADs get to know you and directors get to know you, then if there ever is an opportunity to throw somebody a line or to give somebody a special opportunity, they're going to think of you because you play ball all the time. You're like, hey, this is the guy. He comes to work every day. He puts his head down. He's in the trenches, one foot in front of the other. He's you know, they're going to give those people a shot. Plus, you learn about the industry. If you're on set all the time, you ask questions. You learn about, like, I'm always talking to, like, the grips, the gaffers, people on the crew, the hair, the makeup. I'm like, hey, you know, what's that light over there? I'm like, oh, that's an opal. You know, get a 10K, put an opal in there, get a C-stand, throw a sandbag on it. You know what I mean? You start learning. So, you know, you go like this in front of the DOP a lot, you know, start wondering where flag's going to go. You know, but if you pay attention, like, you know, how many hours have I been on set? 20,000 hours? You know what I mean? Like, most actors in their entire lifetime will never get that as a main actor or a speaking actor. Like, if you're, you know, Christopher Plummer or Ian McKellen or Helen Mirren or if you are Al Pacino, those people have seen set that much. I'm just saying, I've been to a million different sets, a million different crews, and I've seen, like, you know, on location, in studio, American productions, Canadian, indie, everything. So I just find that it's making me a more well-rounded person. And also, I just like my exposure to the industry. Also, it's more people that I meet on Facebook. I get their contact information. You know, you meet a director of photography or like something like that, and they like you. Like, I've had directors that I've worked with being like, you know what, I like that guy Nathan. Called me up out of the blue and be like, yo, I want you to do this role in a show or a little bit part in a TV. It happened just this year, actually, on a CBC show. This guy was like, oh, I worked with you a couple years ago. You know, I want you to be like one of the guys on the show. It's background for now. Turned into like a 3-day actor thing because the director was there. She really liked me. They had read all my social media stuff. They saw my Instagram. They were like, this guy's hilarious. Let's, instead of hiring another actor for the role, let's give the role to this guy, because I did like 3 or 4 days BG on the show. But out of the clear blue sky, just from memory, this guy was like, 4 years ago, I worked with you on this. I don't know if you remember me. And he shot me a message on Instagram, you know, on Facebook Messenger. And that's how I got a job this year. And that's not the first time. So if you want to sit at home and be like, yo, I'm just an actor. Well, you know, if you're independently wealthy, or, you know, you're a trust fund baby, or you have some sort of another full-time job, go right ahead and do that. But for me, I'm like, I never say no to any job, whether it's a tip project, Hamilton, exterior, night shoot, self-drive, booked, expect the email.
You know, one thing about the actual members, the union members, like you said, you do whatever you can do. You can do a tip, you do a student film, you do a short here and there, but you're limited. And there's a big limitation to ACTRA members, union members, because there's so much that's happening in town with non-union productions. All those documentary, murder documentary, mystery documentary. There was a big one, Canada, The Story of Us, which drew a lot of actors. It gave a lot of non-union actors the opportunities, but those are opportunities that you weren't able to get. How do you feel about that? And do you think the union may, you know, allow union actors to move into that space?
I mean, I think it would make more sense if we were able to be like, hey, can I do this non-union gig and pay a fee? Because, you know, if you're non-union, you can pay a fee to do a union thing, right? You know, I'm not really sure how it works, but I think there would be a way that we could all just take any job. You know what I mean? They should make it easier for us to work as opposed to more difficult and having more rules. It should be more of like, you know, whatever job you can get, as long as they get a piece of it. Like, if I pay commission, if I could book a non-union thing and I pay my ACTRA like dues on it, I mean, then what the hell do they care? So, but you know, I don't really get involved in like the numbers and the politics. That's not really my world. I had like thoughts about running for like ACTRA council. They had an election just passed, and I thought about running because I was like, you know what? I'm sure if I like, maybe if I ran, it'd be funny if I like got a spot. And then I was like, but I just don't want to get involved in that type of thing. And then people always like pick sides when it's politics. That's why I don't talk about politics or religion or anything like that on Facebook. I just do my jokes and that's it. I'm like, you know what I mean? I don't want to use it as a platform to like, you know, even though that sometimes there are kind of some social issues that I feel strongly about, I don't want to mix business with pleasure. And I'm just going to like, you know what, this is for people to be entertained by. If you want to be political on Facebook, that's your prerogative and you do whatever you like. But for me, I'm just like, I try and separate church and state, as it were, that way. You know what I mean? I'm like, look, I don't want to.
Amen.
Yeah, because then, people always like have to choose a side. And I'm like, people ask me like, where am I from? I said, Earth. Where are you from? Like, to me, like, it doesn't really
I'm from my
matter.
mommy's tummy. But yeah.
We're all from there, you know what I mean? Not your mothers, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, she'd be one woman, but pretty busy. But
Yeah, exactly. But I don't know. It's just weird. So I try not to really get involved in that. But it would be nice if we were able to just take any job that came along that you were suited for that would help you further your acting career. So I'll say that on the record. But yeah, I mean, I don't really have any other things that I wish that were better with the union. Yes, but do I know how to fix any of them, and do I know what the solution is? No. So I'll let those people figure it out. I just kind of live my life. I do what I can. I find as much work as possible. And when it's, if you don't want to do non-union work, well, you can work in other industries. And that's what I do too. Like doing bartending on the side and stuff. So
right.
I know there are other opportunities that are non-union and stuff, but I find ways of making supplementary income from different types of jobs. Right. So it doesn't really affect me. Plus I think that, the non-union people, like, they should get some of that work too, or perhaps more, but because the rates are different. So it doesn't really upset me too much. Plus, if you're a good worker and you're a professional and you show up and you do your job, then the BG agents and your regular agents and, people will book you. So there's a lot of people that don't take working on set that seriously. Right. And yes, I have the days where I'm like, okay, you're just sitting there and you're doing nothing. But I'm like, when they are like, Nathan, we need you to do this, I'm like, I keep my head in the game. I'm like, I'm there. Like, I don't miss, you know what I mean? When you're like, okay, you wait 3 beats and then you cross. I'm like, oh, I'm banana for days. I'm there. I'm trying to help the ADs out. I'm trying to make this production better so we can all go home. There's people who are just not listening, or who are talking, or, who don't show up, or like check out mentally, or they're just like sleeping all the time. And I'm like, that's your prerogative. Go ahead and do it if that's what you want to do. I'm saying, for me, when they point to me and they say, Nathan, do it, I'm ready to go. So, and I just hope that translates into future things when people see that you're a hard worker, and yeah, you're a joker, and people know that I'm like, a funny guy, and that, I make all these stupid jokes and shit. But when it comes down to it, if you point to me and you say, do this, I'm going to do it to the best of my ability. Yeah. And I think people recognize that, or at least I hope so.
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta be active. You gotta be, helpful. Or else, in any situation at all,
yeah,
you're helpful. In any job. But one thing I'm surprised that we've never really met. We've never really talked. I've been doing background for about 3-4 years now, but I guess most probably you've been on a lot of actress sets. I mean, sort of smaller background groups, where there's, because they only require actor, less than 20. So
it's funny because there's so many productions going on at one time. You're like, we may have even worked on the same set. We just maybe not, walked by each other. When there's 500 people, you're like, you're not going to see everybody. And you're not going to, like when you're doing those mega crowd scenes on a show like The Boys or on Suicide Squad or one of those like $250 million productions, right? You're like, you don't see everybody. But when I go to set, I'm like, most people know who I am, and I'm like, that's a good thing, and I hope that, because I met a lot of interesting people that way, like people that I've never met in person, but I've met them online, and then I meet them in real life, and they're like, oh my god, and then we used to hug, now we don't, but we like wing, or we like hug from here.
Yep, an air bump.
Yeah.
You, I saw something on your Facebook, something to do with Winnipeg, Saskatchewan, or something like that.
Was reopening.
They're opening up now.
Yeah, because they've only had like 229 cases of COVID, and like 2 or 3 deaths, or don't quote me on the numbers, but compared to Ontario, they've basically not had any problems, or Quebec for that matter, which is like ground zero for us here. But so they just reopened there in Winnipeg, and the rest of the province have like just outlined their new COVID-19 guidelines going forward for the industry. So I made a joke about like, hey, it's only a 20-hour drive. Let's go do some BG in Winnipeg. Which honestly, I would do, because I've done it in Montreal. I've done it in Ottawa. I've driven, like sleep in your car or sleep at an Airbnb, and like I'll go where the money is. I'm not a lazy person, and I think most people, who know me will know that I'm a hustler, and I'll go out there and get it. And I'm like, the people who are like, oh no, I don't want to work. It's too early. It's cold. It's a night shoot. I'm like, good.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If I want the money, I know what to do with it.
Yeah. So when this is all over, you said you've traveled to a lot of different places, a lot of different countries.
Sure.
What would be the first country that you'd like to go to if you had the opportunity? Which one has the best memories that you attended?
I'd say anywhere but the States. No desire to go there right now. No further comment. I think everyone knows what I'm talking about. I would say, I don't know, maybe like Spain, Portugal, Central America, somewhere in there. Knock out like 10 countries at once, like start in Mexico, end up in Colombia, and do all of Central America. But I don't know when the likelihood of that is going to happen. Like, that's what kind of is scary right now about the industry. Is just like, I wonder, I'm like, is it ever going to be the same? Is it going to go back? I mean, I have still been auditioning during this pandemic time, sending in self-tapes and stuff, because I do voice work as well with my principal agent. So I've done like 5 or 6, maybe 7 auditions in the 12 weeks, so almost one a week, but not quite. But it's not the same when you're not in the studio in person and stuff. So I don't know. I wonder how it's going to get back to normal. I don't think it ever really will. The good thing about it is that there probably needed to be some changes many years ago, and this has just really brought everything to the forefront. But I mean, I just find it's going to be like really rigid, and it's like maybe like it was fun to do it in the before time. Will it be fun to do it going forward, or is it just going to be like weird because everyone's wearing a mask and gloves and you can't touch anybody? Like, I just hope that it isn't like that, because I don't want to live like that forever. I don't mind doing it for a couple months, but if we all have to like live in these weird bubbles and never touch each other, I don't know. That's not going to be a fun future. So I try not to think about that. I try and stay positive with those vibes out there, but it's definitely going to be odd going back to set.
Yeah, I was surprised too that I did get audition self-tape also during this time.
Yeah, I mean, the industry is still going. I mean, like, people are still writing. They're still in post-production on stuff. Like, Netflix had like how many productions going? Like 50 or 60 or something like that. Like a worldwide or something. So it's going to come back. It's just, how is it going to come back? It's like there's never going to be a time where there's no movies. Like, that is an impossibility, no matter what or how stringent it was. But I just wonder, like, what's the first movie going to look like that's done in the after time? It's like there's like nobody touches anybody in the movie. Here's what I understand. Look, I Purell, you Purell, we shake hands. You Purell, I Purell. Why can't we shake hands? It doesn't make any sense to me. So, but I'm not an epidemiologist. I decided to take French, Spanish, and Italian in university instead of going to med school. So I really know nothing about it. I'm just trying to stay safe and not get sick and not get other people sick. So, I just let the chips fall where they may. When shit falls into place, we'll see what happens. But that's why I'm doing other things right now, because
French, Italian, and Spanish. Bonjour.
Well, here's the other thing.
Buongiorno and buenos dias.
Exactly. Well, so I was like, you could go take, engineering, and it's like 90% men. I was like, or I could take the Romance languages, where there's like 3 guys in class. One for teacher, one was a gay guy, the other was me, the rest were beautiful women. I was like, all right, pretty simple thing to go there. So that's why I took that university. Plus, I just found languages, it helps with like people skills and getting around and everything. Whereas like, I'm like a right brain guy, or is it left brain? I don't even know. Whatever, the art one. So, I'm not really a critical thinker. I'm like an idea guy, a creative person. So, like if it was up to me, the wheel would still be square. I'd be like, I don't know, just keep pushing the car, it'll go. So I don't know if I ever would have, engineering was not really my thing. Let's just put it that way.
So Were you in the middle of any projects right now? Like I know, what's it called? Ravage. You're involved with Ravage, but
Yeah,
were you guys actively doing an episode or right now or something
I
to
mean,
that effect?
I had like 5 things going on, and honestly, it was slated to be like my best year ever. Like projected the way that it was going. Like in February, I was like, man, if this keeps up, this is gonna be amazing. I was on the show C.
Okay.
Granted, it was doing background, but I was like the queen in the show. I was like her like personal servant. So I was on set every day.
Oh,
And
for a moment I thought you said you were the queen, but
no, no.
queen, her
Hey,
servant.
I'd do it, man. Whatever. Send the check. I'll play it. Um, but yeah. So even though that was like it was like a glorified BG role, but it was just like the hours were crazy. The money was great, and it was supposed to go to like 2021, like all the way through, like season 2 and then season 3. And who knows if I would have made it that far? Maybe they kill your character. Who knows? Who knows? But projected, it was like if I kept on the same trajectory, it was on pace to be like a record year. So really kind of messed up a lot of different things. And yeah, I had a bunch of indie projects that I was working on, and I had like a writing group that I had just recently joined, and everything just kind of turned into like Zoom meetings and staying at home, and but now I'm out there and back, like being active and creative, and this is a good time to like do some writing, right? That's like kind of my next foray as I stumble blindly into my 40s. I would like to kind of maybe I like this pace of life where I never wanted to be closer than 2 meters to anybody that I didn't know anyway. So for me,
Okay, yeah.
I've been social distancing since like the late 90s. Like when I sat at a movie theater and you sat next to me, I left the movie theater. I'm like, well, I don't know this fucking guy. I don't want to sit next to this guy. If, your family, your friends, people, of course. But I was like, people I don't know, if you stand 2 meters away from me at the store, I'm like, yes, that is normal. You shouldn't be closer than 2 meters before this. So I was cool with it. I would go see a movie like 1 week before they're going to pull the movie. That's when I go see a movie. Not the first night, opening night, people in front, people beside, people behind you. No thanks.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Now you did quite a few episodes of was it Murdoch Mysteries, right? Did you ended up as an actor on that,
yeah.
or did you start as a BG and then moved up to an actor, or did you audition originally and was accepted on?
Well, it's a hilarious story. Actually, the first year that I did background on it as one of the cops, we had a rap party. Mm-hmm. So at the rap party, I had a few drinks, yeah. Right? As one does when it's an open bar. And, so like they start cranking the music. It's midnight. I start, I take off my belt. I rope the wardrobe lady. I bring her in there, I start a conga line. I'm going nuts on the dance floor. And the executive producer is sitting there with his wife, just watching me just act like complete, like fun.
Unabandoned.
Yeah, but like not too drunk, not sloppy, not whatever, just having a great time. And he looked over at his wife and he said, you see that guy there? I'm going to give him a role in the show. And the next year, the first day back, I auditioned and booked the role of Constable McNabb. And that was 5 years ago. 10 episodes as an actor. Which is not crazy, but I'm so thankful for it. It's one of the greatest shows. It's like a little piece of Canadiana. It's nice to be a part of that. You know what I mean? It's up there with like the Schitt's Creeks and the Red Green Show and Beachcombers. It's like just iconic Canadian. When you think of Canadian TV, it's always going to be in the conversation. So I'm just glad that I could even be a little piece of that. So very grateful.
Yeah, and another show that you did, there's a short. What was it called? The Fan. Was it The Fan? Where you played the announcer for Maple Leafs.
Just recently.
Yeah, is that this year? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for the Isolation Film Festival, I did a little thing.
Oh, okay.
Are you talking about that one?
There was Art Hindle was in it.
Yeah. That was for the Isolation Film Festival.
Okay, that was the Isolation Film Festival.
Yeah,
okay.
So that was like Cineplex and Stephen Mann and all those guys put it on.
Yeah.
So I've met Art a couple times on set, and we're like good buds on social media. And Chris Gleason is another friend of mine who I've met on set, known him for many years. Great guy. So they just asked me. They were like, "Hey, we need an announcer guy in like this dream sequence thing." And you know, I was like, "Well, what else do I have to do? Nothing, because we can't go anywhere." And it's like, once you've gotten your groceries, what do you do? I mean, that was like 2 months ago. Now you can kind of, you know, go outside for a run, social
Right.
distance,
Yeah.
a couple of people is, you know. But that was like this was like during when everyone was like scared shitless to just leave their house.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell you like how many times like I went to the store and bought like $500 worth of groceries and just filled up the fridge and the freezer, and we just like sat here. It was freezing, just like wondering if we're all gonna die, you know, because we were watching movies like Outbreak and Contagion, like horrible movies to watch while you're doing this. We're like, is this what's gonna happen? Is this gonna happen? As you're like on your third pint of Cabernet Sauvignon. So
yeah, I remember. I guess when you were starting back in the '90s, I was on a show. I acted on a show that Art Hindle was on. It was called ENG, Electronic News Gathering. It was a uh, TV series. I forgot. I think it was CTV maybe. And so yeah, I was on 2 episodes back then. And so,
nice.
but I didn't. I wasn't in a scene with him. But you know, I sort of remember him from way back then. And,
yeah, legend.
And yeah, so I was actor back then, and then you know, life got in the way. There wasn't a lot of productions happening in town, and especially somebody with my face. There wasn't a lot happening. So I think the one I did on that show was in respect to the Tiananmen Square massacre. So that's the production that I did. But anyway, so I got you know, involved in life, and then I fired my job about 4 years ago, and you know, I'm back in now. So and yeah, things were starting to steam up. Things were happening, and you know, all of a sudden we have to take a break. And this is a thought that I've had for quite a long time now in background. You know, meeting so many different interesting people, and talking to them and saying, "Geez, there's a movie in everybody's you know, everybody's life, and we should get this down." And with the COVID quarantining us and keeping us in one place, and technology, you know, I don't have to run around with a camera and lighting and do an interview in background, and the noise and stuff like that, you know, sound testing sound. We do it now, and it's virtually cost free, you know.
Yeah.
So this is.
I mean, that's why I've been doing my videos, you know, like on social media. I'm like, I have an iPhone. I think of something funny. I go out, I film it, I do it. I don't need to wait on editing and color correction and the DOP and the sound. I shoot it, I post it. It's raw and it's like not incredible, but if it's like funny enough and like it hits and it's like whatever, then like, you know, that's why I put them out there, because I'm like, it's just easy to get it out and people are starving for content, you know. TikTok's a good example of like, it's basically like reality TV for people who are ADHD, because you're like, oh, what's this, some guy cooking pancakes? No, I don't like it. Oh, what's this girl singing a song in a bikini? Okay, I'll watch that for 20 seconds. Like, oh, what's this one? Oh, a guy trying on shoes. You know what I mean? So it's, you know, it's just like, it's everybody just posting their little 1 minute or less videos. And you just flip through them like a psycho, and you can sit there for like 2-3 hours and you're like, I've watched nothing, but I've watched everything. You know what I mean? Like, it's incredible how much stuff there is out there. Even with like the riots that are going on now, it's like you can watch CNN. If you really want to watch it, just go on TikTok and watch people just like be there on like the bystanders version as opposed to the CNN version or the Fox News version. It's bizarre. So it's kind of interesting for that. But yeah, I think I'm way too old for it. 'Cause every time I post a video, it's like, who's this grandpa trying to get in on our shit?
Hey, you know, that is the opportunity now for the grandpas to get into it, I think. You know,
yeah, I'm trying. You know,
there's got to be an opening somewhere.
Yeah,
you know, because like, you got to try everything. I mean, we always have the hear about Edison, Thomas Edison, in you know, inventing the light bulb. He had 3,000 different combinations of metal before he came up with the right one, and you just got to keep doing these things. And I don't think we can become old and stale and hard in the brain that we can't adjust, you know.
No, and
Get
that's
out
why
there.
I try and like, be creative every day. And like, even though it's not like writing like a novel, it's like I write something every day, or I come up with something funny. And like, to do the top 10 list takes like hours to like come up with the right combination. And like, I do like research. It's not just like, I'm like, think of 10 things and post it and it's funny. It's like, there's a lot of like thought that goes into it, and you know what I mean, and I go and I search stuff on the internet and Wikipedia, and and I try and spell check everything and make sure everything's right, because you want it to be perfect. And I think that's why people have been receptive to it, because it's like they know this wasn't just off the top of your head and you just sat there and you wrote something in 5 minutes. I wish I could do it in 5 minutes, but it's not. It's like a painstaking, time-consuming process. So I don't know. I guess maybe that's why it's funny, because if you take the time and you put the effort into something, then you'll have a better product than if you just like, some raw videos are good, but I just mean it's the more polished it is, you're like, ooh.
Yeah, Nathan, that's what I said at the start. I admire you because of your dedication, because I try to do a little bit of writing myself too. And I'm like you, even if I'm replying on Facebook with a comment, I'm researching, I'm making sure my spell check is right. I'm making sure my facts are correct.
Yeah.
The nomenclature, the grammar is correct. And, it takes a lot of editing and rewriting. And then after you post something, you go back in, you edit something, you go back in, you edit again. So I've, when the quarantine started, I was like you. I was just sitting here and not really doing anything. And slowly, it took me 2 months before I actually, started doing some writing. And I was influenced by a very old lady. And again, it just flowed, but I still had to rewrite and edit and go back and does this fit in right and stuff like that. I understand your creative process, and I admire that you keep doing it on a consistent basis. I really do.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think people notice that too, because like when you go in and you give them something polished and something that's like spelled correctly with the correct syntax and grammar and punctuation, people are like, oh, because if you did it and it was like the ideas were there, but it's like whenever there's like I mess up like one letter, I'll go back into every group and edit that like one letter so that they're all, you know what I mean? Like, especially when you have spell check, but the worst is autocorrect, because you'll type something and it will change it in the computer, and in your head you're like, no, I spelled that correctly, but that's the worst. So it's like, there is spell check, but there's also autocorrect and like the predictive spelling, where they're like, oh, did you mean car? You're like, no, I meant core. I wrote core. Why did you change it to car? So autocorrect can be a bit of an asshole. But yeah, it's always good to just double check your work. And like you said, fact check, be smart. And, like I said, I try and be edgy, but not an asshole. You know what I mean? Like, there's a very fine line between like disrespectful and insensitive and like wickedly funny. It's like, so, you just have to be careful. You got to walk on eggshells a little bit, but sometimes you just got to like swing for the fence, and you know what I mean? Some people are not going to like it, but as long as it doesn't come off like you're a total jerk, or, you're not thinking about everybody. Like in one of the posts that I did, it was like from my point of view. I was like, oh, you go up to like the grip girl and you try to ask her for her phone number or something like that, right? And so this one woman writes back to me. She's like, what do you mean the grip girl? I was like, well, because this is based on my experience and like the time that I tried to like talk to this girl that was a grip, and I was trying to get her phone number. She's like, well, do women can they only be grips? They can't be like the lead actresses or the writers? I'm like, no, lady, you can change the word around. I'm like, no, this is from a personal experience. She got so offended that she was like, I can't believe you're like assigning gender roles. It's like, oh, so you're an actor and the girl has to be a grip? And I was like, lady, are you fucking kidding me right now? And then all these other people like jumped on her little Karen fucking train and were like, yeah, why are you doing that? And blah, blah, blah. And like, I was like, guys, you don't understand. You can change the word guy, girl. This is my experience was this. You can interchange the words of gender or have no gender at all. You could just say they if you like. But that's what I mean. So now that's one of the things that I have to be like very conscious about, because some people feel that way or feel sensitive and they want you to be more. So now I think about that. And even though that person was completely misguided and misunderstood what I was writing and didn't understand that it was from a first person perspective, that actually, I thank that person because it made me think about like, hey, whoa, yeah, maybe I should just put my partner instead of my girlfriend. Because maybe someone thinks, yeah, maybe it's partner's better, because that way it doesn't have to be like I'm a man, I have to be with a woman. And you know what? So that's how you get like progressive.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
I've found that with doing some of the previous interviews that I've done, that
yeah,
there are things that I say, and then I go back and I said, "Ooh, what
yeah,
you know
like,
that
oh, maybe I should.
didn't sound
Wow.
perfectly right, didn't sound
Yeah,
perfectly right," and I have the option to edit it, right? But
yeah. Or maybe now it's not cool to say that because we've turned a corner and it's like, that's not cool anymore. You know what I mean?
there is I'm not going to bring up the word, but there is one word that I utilized in the last interview that I did, and afterwards I thought about it. I said, yeah, it was good 20, 30 years ago. Is it still okay now? And I'm still pondering whether, I don't think I can edit it. I'm not going to bother editing it out. I sort of came to the realization that's what I said, and I have my reason why I said it, because it was not said in an offensive way at all. It
Exactly.
was, it was me at that time saying that. I was referring back to, even further when I was very young, 10 years old, and I said something. And I said, no, I'll let it go. And if that piece gets up to air somewhere eventually and somebody, talks about it, then that's fine. I'll just deal with it at that time, because I'm fine. I'm fine with it. I can deal with these things now.
Yeah, I mean, and you grow too as like a person, and you're like, hey, I mean, like, if I look at myself 10 years ago, you're gonna be like, ooh, oh, not all the jokes are like they don't all hit at the same time, right? If you go back and you look at other comedians, but like you can't go back to the '60s and be like, hey, Don Rickles was a racist. I'm like, no, it was a different time, it was a different era. You know what I mean? Like you can't take. It's an anachronism. You can't take something like, this is a bad example, but even the Justin Trudeau thing, remember that whole thing that happened? I was like, look, no matter what time period, that was embarrassing and horrible. But I'm like, you can't go, if you dredge up everybody's past, you're going to find a lot of shit that you don't like. So as long as like going forward, you try and be like mindful and respectful, and people know that you're coming from a place of like comedy and joy, and like, I'm trying to make things better, and I'm not trying to be like a bitter, racist, sexist asshole. And if they know what kind of person you are, then, there's certain things that you can say to certain people where it's like, hey, I know what this guy is saying. He's not somebody's, but you just do have to tread carefully, especially when it comes to like being online these days.
Mm.
So I really, really put like a lot of thought into like every word that I write down, because I find a lot of people just post something and I'm like, why did you write? No, you can't write that. You could, hey, look, if you're hanging out with your buddy on the balcony and you say the wrong thing, and it was accidental, but you say it on Twitter,
Yeah.
bye-bye career.
Mm-hmm,
So,
mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? So it's good now that you have to be a little bit more conscious about what you say and how you say things, and reflect on your life, and, that there's other people out there that, I'm not the only one, and that, it should be inclusive for everybody. So I like it when we go through this type of like metamorphosis and, this maturation period. Even as a comedian, I'm 40 now too, right? So I'm not like, when you're 25, you don't really think about things that you say and whatever. And I'm just like, now I like take stock and I'm like, think about it, and like all those people that like, hey, oh, you know what? No, that's not cool. Don't write that. I'm like, oh, this is cool. And so it's good that you take those moments to pause and reflect and really just be careful of what you're saying, and, just come from a place where you're respectful, and honestly, you can still be a funny person. But again, like it's nice to blur the lines and get close to the edge and push it a little bit. But at the same time, you also have to be like really, really intelligent and careful where you tread and how you say things, especially in the online world, man, because one wrong move and that's a career ender. So.
Yeah, definitely. Because in my 20s also, I did a few open mics at Yuck Yucks. So, so you had to write. And again, that process of writing is similar to you. You just don't go up there and improvise. It takes a real genius to be able to go up there, improvise, and to do it, flawlessly. Well, not necessarily flawlessly, but not to take it too far to the left or too far to the right. Yeah. And the pieces that I wrote and the jokes that I wrote and some of the improv that I did at that time, half of it wouldn't fly now. Half of it wouldn't fly. It's like you said.
I read my Facebook post from 5 years ago and I'm like, ew.
Yeah.
Right? Just because times change and, comedy has to change too. And the industry that we're in, entertainment, has to change as well. Like it's never going to just be the same thing. And, honestly, people are like, oh, the good old days. And you're like, well, were they so good? Not for everybody. And so when you keep that in your head, maybe it's a good thing going forward that we don't have the good old days anymore. Like, this is a horrible thing, like the Make America Great Again. I'm like, was it ever that great? No. That's what I think when you know what I mean? Not to get political, I'm just saying that hat, I'm like, it was only great for certain people. So why don't you just make it great?
Yeah,
that's what I try and do, just make it great. Not again and not America, just I'm trying to make my own stuff good, like so that it gets to a lot of people. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know. That's my job is to bring a little levity and breathe some like comedy into the world because it can be a light when all else seems dark.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Nathan. That it may not have been great before. There's a lot of things that have occurred in this world that a lot of people are not proud of. Individually and as a collective whole, there's a lot of things that we're not proud of.
Most history isn't great. That's why we're trying to make shit better. I was like,
and we can't dwell too much on it. No. We got to move ahead. We got to.
And you know what? This is the perfect time. We just hit the reset button on the entire planet. This is our chance moving forward to like really make some positive change and some huge strides, like socially, economically, culturally. You know what I mean? So this is the time because we just found out that we're not our own worst enemy. You know what I mean? We're fighting the invisible enemy right now. You know what I mean? So we need to all kind of like get together and fight that, and hopefully there'll be some sort of unity and. Eventually we can, find like a common ground and like work together and work on having like a more peaceful, cohesive, respectful fucking planet that we all live on together, as opposed to like being all segregated into our little groups and cliques and whatnot. You know what I mean? So I don't know. That's why, I do what I do. Just try to like bring people together, make them laugh, make people smile.
Yeah. We're coming up onto an hour now. That was pretty quick.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, specifically for you, where do you see yourself moving forward? Where do you see this technology taking you? And where are you going to take it?
Well, I've always thought that the audition process was very outdated anyway. It's like, why am I taking a day off work to go into a room to slate, to say 2 lines, and then, I walk out of the room and then there's like 500 other guys behind me. Mm-hmm. So I really think that this could help kind of facilitate and expedite the auditioning process for things. And also, it's like, do I really need to go in and sign paper and waste paper and people's time and go into an office? It's like, people are like, oh, can you slate? I'm like, here's my fucking Instagram. Look at my Instagram. You want to hire me or not? Like, do you really need me to come in person? And if you do, have a Zoom meeting like this. Like, look, you talk to me for 30 seconds. You'll figure out, I fucking hate this guy or this guy's pretty hilarious.
That's right.
Definitely one of the two, or else, you know what I mean? So it's like, I think that this stuff going forward? And also, does the director need to be there, the DOP, and do all the producers need to be there, sitting in a chair and eating danishes in Video Village in a weird little tent? Do they all need to be there? No, right? I mean, so hopefully there's some stuff where it's like you cut the fat that we don't really need from set and make it more safe. And hopefully, like I said, the isolation and the distancing and the gloves and the mask and all that shit doesn't stay forever. Hopefully that's just a temporary thing. So I think we've learned some important lessons that the industry, and frankly all industries all across the board, needed some updating. We were out of date. Things were gross. Like, why? Like, you're never gonna see. Like, you're gonna tell people like, back in 2019 we used to turn door handles. They're gonna be like, what do you mean, Gramps? Like, now, like, I don't ever want to touch a doorknob ever again. I never did before this. So, right, I just hope that, there's a positive change. Technology will definitely help things go along. I mean, will there be less work? Probably. But will it be safer when you are there? Definitely. So, there's pros and cons. But, I'm going to be optimistic and keep an open mind and just say that, moving forward, it's going to be better for everybody that we get on this train now, because COVID could be the first of many, and already has been the first. There's a million things that I've had in the past. How many times have you gone to set and gotten sick? Many. So, if you don't need to go into work because you're sick and they're just willing to pay you, you're like, great. It's like, now it's like, oh, if I call in sick, I'm not going to get paid. So I'm going to go to work and infect all these people. So it's really kind of changed the way that society and the government worked. And, it's made us rethink a lot of things. And hopefully, we get over this little hump and we become like more safe. Like, look, if you weren't washing your hands after going to the washroom and it's 2020, I mean, you need a serious MRI because there's something wrong with your brain. So hopefully now people are like, all right, maybe after I hold my penis in my hand, before I go eat something, I should maybe just run some soap and water on it. You know what I mean? Like, that to me was always kind of a no-brainer, but for some people apparently it wasn't. So there are good things going forward. We're going to be cleaner. We're going to be safer. I just hope that we'll be able to like touch people again, because but for right now, I'll just try and touch people on social media.
Well, yeah, that's fabulous, and I certainly hope you keep on touching people on social media. And maybe
really touching
maybe making some more videos, extending it from your top 10 into a video top 10, or some sort of video thing, because it all this technology is available now, and you've got the solid basics. You've got it down, man, and I applaud you. I think you're doing a fabulous job keeping the spirits up for a lot of these people, and I wish you well, and hopefully we can get back to that space where you got 6 projects going on at the same time.
Yeah, I've still got a couple things going on right now in the background, and so the wheels are moving again, and definitely I'm involved in some things. We just haven't been able to like do that yet, but we're definitely like writing and planning and ideas, and when we do get back, we're going to hit the ground running because we've got all this time to kind of get it started. So,
well, this hasn't really been surprising for me because reading the stuff that you've been putting on and watching some of your videos that you've put on, and this has been very entertaining, and I really enjoyed it. Thank you for joining me, and giving us some laughs and giving us some points to think about. Really appreciate it.
No, it's been my pleasure, man. Well, hopefully I'll get to shake your hand in person one day. And just, stay in touch and let me know what you're going to do with this. And we'll see what happens.
Okay, so cut and back to holding.